Hey there, this is Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. It is Wednesday. It is June 1st. It's the first Wednesday of June. So all of that's happening right here, the beginning of summer unofficially. We know there's graduations and all kinds of things happening. I've got a class reunion coming up. So it's a lots of amazing things going on. Hope you've had an amazing day. It's absolutely beautiful here. And pretty hot, just for the record. I think it's about 95 out there still at 7 p.m. But I've got some good stuff here today. So on Write It Out Wednesday, we put you back at the top of your writing list. We know that all kinds of things can come up and happen in the midst of your day that can cause you to not get any writing done. But at least for now, we'd like to take some time and not only help you think about writing, but give you some tips, things related to writing, some of the challenges, and all kinds of wonderful facts and information just so you can get stuff done. Hey, Rocio, how are you doing there? Happy June to you. But anyway, let's see. What are we talking about tonight? It's hot off the press, okay? And though I limit myself now to just about 30 minutes of news a day because it's just so much, there is one headline that many people were waiting for today. And I'll say that mainly because the news was happening in the DMV, which is what we call the area I live in. And they just been covering like all the time, which is one reason I was like, okay, enough. So what am I speaking about? You probably heard it. It's the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation case. Now, I'm only bringing up this case because it is a new month and hopefully from this day forward, a new beginning for the both of them. So with new months, new seasons, new years, new birth dates, we're hoping to bring about something new in our life, something we haven't done before, something to propel us forward, to keep us going in a way that maybe we have not seen before. And so without getting into any gory details of a relationship that, some of the terms that they were using was dumpster fire just because of how the trial played out, I'd rather focus instead on what you and I, as authors and soon-to-be authors, can learn from this. So I'm calling this segment of Write It Out Wednesday, Is Your Story Messy? Okay? Is your story messy? Now, a while ago, maybe a couple months ago, I did a masterclass on how to write about difficult subjects. Now, many people attended that and learned some techniques and strategies for getting those hard to share stories out of their heads and hearts and onto the printed page. And when I open that class again, which I'm probably going to do soon, this story could definitely be a case story, okay? A case study, rather. And the thing about it is, what can we take away from this heavily covered double celebrity case that had lines of people camped out to get into this courthouse for 6 weeks, okay? Because 6 weeks, our news coming, showing the people, standing in line, reporters, all that kind of stuff, but it's like, what can we learn from this? Because with any situation that goes on, it's like, what are the lessons? Hey, glad you're here too. What are the lessons, and how do we apply that to our lives? How do we apply it to our work? How do we apply it to the things that we're doing? Okay. So as I thought about this, because it's like, I teach you guys that everything is relevant. That you can write a story about anything. And, ways to practice writing is write about what's going on in your world. Whether it's a sad story, a tragic story, or a glorious story. It's like there's, something that you can get out of watching other people's lives as well as your own. Okay. So tonight I have 10 things to consider when the story you wish to tell in your book is messy, okay? In light of all that's happening, I just thought that this was so appropriate because this is always like a difficult thing because sometimes people don't want to share their stories because of what it's about, because of people involved, situations, all kinds of things. I even had a conversation with a colleague about some mess in my own life. So it's just like, we all have it. And that's the first point. We all have mess in our lives, okay? I don't think anyone is immune. Anyone gets scot-free out of this. That even in the best of circumstances, from the best families with all the resources that you can desire, look a little close and you're going to find some mess. Okay. And though most people are used to watching or hearing accounts of the messiness of people from, say, a bad home or a bad neighborhood where they kind of expect that kind of thing. There's an old saying that says, there but for the grace of God go I, because mess is universal. All we have to do is just think about all the stuff we've heard around the world, and it's messy, right? From global situations to in your backyard, it's messy. Even there was a neighbor situation where it was like, what's going on? It's just like some mess, So, and it doesn't have to affect you, but you see it or you're aware of it, or it's just like there's something that's going on. Okay, so that was point number one. We all have some mess in our lives, okay? Now, number two says sharing your truth can help release the shame and embarrassment you've carried about the issue. Because a lot of times we don't share our story, we don't share our truth because we're embarrassed, because we're ashamed. And a lot of times those feelings keep us from being able to move forward, to forgive, to process, or even to let go because of how we feel or how we think others see us with regard to this situation. But when you're able to share that truth, particularly when you're writing your story, then you can help let go, release the shame and the embarrassment that comes with it. Because the thing is, once it's out, it's out. It's like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? That this story got out? Okay, it's out. And you lived, And I think for many people, hey, B-Sweets, I think for many people that getting these stories out sometimes, even though it may have weighed on you since childhood, that if you get it out, that it takes the weight, which it really is, off of your shoulders, because now it's out of your heart, out of your mind, and you can be free by sharing your truth. Okay, so that's number two. So we're talking tonight about 10 things to consider when the story you wish to tell in your book is messy. Okay, and it's in light of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard was my premise today. I knew that verdict was coming out. I live in the area where the courthouse is, so it's been a lot of that kind of news popping in or popping up on my phone or something, And so the thing is, but my first point was that we all have mess in our lives. Okay, but number two is sharing your truth can help release the shame and embarrassment you've carried about an issue. So what's number three? Number three, kind of coming off of number two, is other people need to hear your story to know they are not alone. Okay? Because for many people, going through a divorce, going through an illness, losing a child, losing a family member, losing your parents, like these are all universal situations that we can all experience. And it doesn't have to be where you're by yourself experiencing this alone. And even if the way things happened were messy, by having a community of people that you can connect with to be like, you know what, this stuff was crazy, that you're able to then speak to that situation and share it in a community of people who got your back, because sometimes, it's crazy messy, and you don't even want anything to do with it. But you have to understand that what it is that you're doing, that by sharing that, by getting it out and bringing others in, and not everybody, it's like social media has allowed us to talk to everybody more or less. But the thing is, it's like for some things, it's like, who can I share my story with? Who can I trust with this story? Especially when it makes you look bad, That's the part where shame, embarrassment, covering up, not being able to tell the truth comes into play. Because all of my points kind of touch on some of these things, but again, we're dealing with 10 points. That was number 3. Other people need to hear your story to know they are not alone, okay? That we all share in the mess of life, okay? Okay. Hey, Michelle, glad to have you here tonight. So what's number 4? We're here talking about, when you have a messy life, we're talking about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. Hey, Sheila, good to have you here as well. And so we're on point number 4 of 10. I'll go back over them in a little bit. But number 4 is that when you allow others in your messy situation, it is a way for someone else to see the other sides of the issue. And it helps you gain perspective that is broader than just your thoughts. Okay. So what does that mean? It's like when you're the only person who's telling a story, then you only hear your perspective. In this case, they had attorneys and experts and all kinds of other people in. So they were turning over all the incidences of the situation to see every angle, every side, and every other way. And that's why we should share at least the majority of some of the stuff we go through, because we will usually only see our side. We will never tend to, unless you are more aware of other people and how this is going to pan out for other people, then you really want you to look good. You want your version to be the only one that anybody knows, and you don't want to look at any other sides. You don't even want to consider it. And so the thing is, when you allow other people into your mess, then you get to see some other perspective. Like your view might just be straight ahead, but bringing other people gives you more panoramic, sideways, from the back. Well, if I were you, if I was this person, well, have you looked at it from this side? And that's what having other people, particularly godly people or people with wisdom or people you trust, people who've kind of gone before you, have some experience, some good experiences that they can share some good insight and help with. Okay, because when you just keep it to yourself, when you don't want anybody to know, well, you don't need to know what's going on. No, that's my business. It's just like, okay, but you want my help. So which one is it? Because I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. And also allow people to form their own opinion. Because if you come in, it's like, I just need you to agree with me, then you don't want to hear anything else. You don't want to see any other sides. You only want your side. So we have to be aware of that. Okay. So that was number 4. Number 5, when there is a mess in your story, it causes you to reach out for help. Some mess, you need help. Okay. There are some situations you get in that you need help. Like someone called me and I don't really know this person that well, but they kind of know me kind of tangentially. And they were like, do you know of a place we could put this young lady who's needing a place like right now? I'm like right now, and it's like, and so multiple people are trying to help this person who kind of overstayed her welcome is what I was told. And I said, well, what does that mean? But again, wisdom, insight, questions, what's going on? What kind of mess was she in that now she needs immediate housing, And so, but this person is reached out for help, was like, I got to get out. And since today is the 1st, this was yesterday. So she probably had to get out by yesterday. And I don't know how much time they had in advance to know this situation, but it was like they were making a lot of calls to see who at least had a spare room temporarily, and so the thing is, and for many people, some situations linger for a long time because you don't want anyone to know what's happening. Either it's in your home, you don't want people to know, in your relationships, or in your mind. Okay. You don't even want people to ask you, why are you thinking like that? Like you don't want people in your business. And my pastor at my church does this funny line that I always remember, because he's like, when people say that, he's like, well, what business are you in? Are you mafia? Like what kind of business you in that nobody can know? So I just always thought that was funny. So that's always in my mind when someone's like, no, I can't really tell you. And it's like, well, what's going on? Why are you taking up my time if I can't know? So it's like, okay, but it's like, but some of these situations, when it gets bad enough, okay, you're going to need others to help you get through this period. So sometimes the mess is a humbling experience that sometimes we need to kind of get to a place where we have to ask for help, because pride, you can be proud of who you are, proud of what you have accomplished. But if your pride is such to the point that you can never, oh my God, I just can't imagine asking anyone for help. Well, there may come a time where you're going to have to do that just so you can understand that we all need help. Like no one pretty much comes into the world without at least one pair of hands helping them out. And many of us do not go without one pair of hands helping us get to the next place we're going. So the thing is, we all need some help. Okay. So being able to reach out for help is a good thing. Okay. Yes. Services. You need help. Okay. And be the person that someone can call. Okay. Like, I'm not saying every day and all the time, but can you be someone that can, I can call you. Okay. All right. That was number 5. Number 6. Okay. Number 6. You become more self-aware. Okay. And thereby learn how to make different decisions. Okay. Self-awareness. I have a book. Actually, hold on. See, I have lots of books, but this is one. The Art of Self-Awareness. See? I want to be self-aware. And the thing about it, when you're aware of who you are, how you present to the world, how others receive you and experience you, then you may need to learn how to make some different decisions. Because if you just think you're the cat's meow everywhere you come and go, and that's an old term. But it's like, do you have anyone in your life who can tell you about who you are? And it doesn't have to be like a bad thing, but just like, hey, what do you think about me? And so let me put that question out there to you guys. It's like you're watching me on this video. Like some of you, you're on a lot. You've seen me in different settings. It's like, what do you think of me? And make sure, ask someone in your life, what do you think? I will send a special gift to the first person who puts down in here, what do you think of me? And then we can messenger so I can get your address and I'll send you something. Okay. You get a special gift. Put down, number 1, first person, what do you think of me? I'm trying to be self-aware. How do you experience me? Because the best way to know how people experience you is to ask them. Okay? I am a book coach. I help people write and edit and publish their books, but I also am a person. It's like, how do I come across? Are you like, oh my God, she's too much? Or, what is it? Oh, I'm wonderful. But it's like, what else? It's like, I love it. Thank you, B Sweets. I appreciate that. You're the first person to respond. Okay. Number 7, and let me get my numbers right here. Number 7, you become self-aware, number 6, but you become aware of your limitations. Number 7, okay, you become aware of your limitations. So what am I talking about there? Okay. Well, some of your limitations are in your beliefs. Like that's one of the things I actually work with most of my authors when we're working together or in our group coaching. It's like, why are you thinking like that? It's like, I need you to start saying I'm a published author, because the more you say that, the more you see yourself in that role, the more you're going to get closer and closer to your goal. Like the people who don't finish their book, outside of, life situations are people who aren't seeing themselves with that finished book. It's like when you start talking about that book, when you start, I'm writing a book, right? And, people say, hey, girl, I ain't seen you in a while. What you doing? I'm writing a book, right? I'm almost finished with my book. You could have 1 page, but you're almost finished. You got 1 page more than you had last year, right? So the thing is, you have to see yourself where you want to be. Okay. And if you don't start speaking the language of where you want to go, you're going to stay within your limitations. It's like, because most of the limitations that are in our life, we put on ourselves. Okay. So whether they're beliefs, whether they're the patterns of behavior, most people have habits of, that by default, like you get up the same time every day, you eat the same thing, you go to the same place to eat, you go to Jack's Soul Food Restaurant on Fridays, and you go to the fish place on with your girlfriends, or, whatever. You have some patterns of behavior, or you may say things. I said the cat's meow a little earlier. That's like an old fashioned kind of saying. And the thing about it is, it's like, are you aware? Like sometimes the way you speak or even the way you write might put some limitations on it. So even one of my roles is an editor. Like I want you to look good in print. When your stuff goes out, I want it to be good. I want your words to jump off the page. I want what you say. Like B Sweets, you had some funny stuff in your book. I was just like, you said things that took me back to my New York upbringing. It made me think about when I was 6 years old. buying cigarettes and fish and playing the numbers for my parents. Because you could do that back in the early 60s and 70s, you know? And it was just like, but it was like, what are those things in your life? Because sometimes those things make you unique and different, you know? So sometimes, you know, because the limits might be like, I only do this, like knowing what you do and what you don't do. Like, as much as I love to sing and dance, like dancing, I've done that. In fact, I have a legacy award behind me for a dance company I started. But singing, not so much. I can sing all I want, wherever I want, anytime I want. But nobody's going to give me an award for that, okay? I just know this. My daughter, my sister, other family members, different people I know, they can sing. There's this young lady named Destiny Thompson. Shout out to Destiny Thompson. I told her I need her to sing for every major event in my life till I die. Really. Send me out to the Lord and while I'm here on earth. I'm just like, you're just a person, you know, but that's your gift. And some of the limitations involve you knowing what it is you do well and what you don't do well. Okay. So if you don't do something well, it's okay. There are other people who do. That's why there's such a variety and diversity of people, because you might do this exceptionally well. Like my cousin did my hair. I got my curls, you know, and she does a lot of things. So I'll have to come up with the things she doesn't do well, but she's very crafty and she likes to drive and she travel and she speaks a couple languages. So it's quite a few things that she does, but there are some limits to her. Okay, I do know some limits. I'm not going to put them out there, but there are some limits. But the thing is, know your limitations, but also know the things that are limiting you in moving forward, particularly when it comes to accomplishing your goals, like writing a book. Okay, now, what is number 8? All right, so, you know, as I talked at the beginning of this, so we were talking about like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, some of the things. But one of the things about this very long 6-week trial, from all these people that were standing outside in lines every day to get in, is that between the two of them, just generally no interest in going through whatever he said, she said stuff. But the hardships that both of them, but that this trial revealed of their lives speaks to their ability to persevere. Because if you got to put your whole life for the whole world to see, because this case also was in Europe, in the UK a couple years back. So once again, your whole life, videos, audios, all kinds of stuff of your life, text messages being displayed. If you can get through this, you're going to be all right. You know, even if you got to take a hit, because for many of us, we've taken lots of hits and we're still here. Like, I'm a cancer survivor. I'm still here, you know? It's like, how many hits have you taken, but you're persevering? Because for most people on earth, it's the stuff you endure that you go through, you know? Like, I'm reading lots of things about, like, my niece is kind of doing some ancestry.com. You know, I just got an email earlier from the International African American Museum that they're building, and it'll be ready, open next year, 2023, International African American Museum in Charleston, South Carolina, at Gadsden's Wharf, where over 50% of enslaved people were brought into this country. And so I think pretty much that I got some family members that might have come through there. So, but the hardships they endured. You know, but on my father's side of the family, for instance, I know from the family reunions, the kind of genealogy, like one of the members of the family had 18 children. Okay, I'm sorry, that came out like real. 18 children, y'all, what? And I remember they were here in the area I live in at a reunion, and they said, will the descendants of, say, Jack Settle stand up? It was like, we were in a room of 500 people, like half the room stood up for him. Okay. And it was the other people, multiple families, who were the rest of the room. But this one person, about 250 people stood up, you know? So like, knowing your history, like, and the interest is so great. A lot of people did it, you know, through the early parts of the pandemic and the COVID situation, being at home. So they had a lot of time to just kind of do research, you know, but these are great things, you know, in terms of your hardships. Like, it's not great at the time, of course. The Bible even talks about no punishment is good at the time. So the hardships, the tragedies, the suffering, none of it anyone wanted. You know, nobody wakes up to say, what kind of suffering do I want today? Like, nobody says that. That's sane for the most part, you know? But the thing is, when you look back in your life, when you look back at your history, when you look back, because a lot of times gas prices, I guess ain't nobody going nowhere. They're like highest record of people went away for Memorial Day weekend. So that's one of the things. It's like, even in the face of hardship, even when prices go up, even when things, baby formula, people will find a way. Like, and that's from, I'm looking forward, my dinosaur, my next Jurassic Park movie's coming out. And that's one of the lines they put in all the movies, that life finds a way. You know, that these dinosaurs find a way to wreak havoc, but, you know, they find a way. It's like, you know, evolution is going to happen. Change is constant. Like, the thing you can count on happening is things changing, you know? And so don't get vexed by all the stuff that's swirling around you, because if you're secure, if you know, just look back, what have I gotten through up to now? And just believe, and I'm going to get through the next thing. Okay. And then, so that was number 8. Number 9, the thing, let's see, where's my first point? Of the 10 things to consider when the story you wish to tell in your book is messy, number 9 says, don't do that again. How about that? Don't do that again. One thing you learn about messy stuff in your life, whether it was a relationship or something, you're like, you know what? I saw all the red, purple, black flags waving, jumping up in front of me, but I went on anyway. Don't do that again. Let the red flags be the red flags. They're there for a reason. The reason you felt all queasy in your stomach because you knew that was not the right job to take. The reason you weren't supposed to go, you had that sick feeling. Don't do it. Okay, don't do it. And many times we have those feelings. We even ask someone, hey, what do you think about this? It's like, no, that don't seem like you. Okay, these are people who've been observing you, kind of know your personality, your style. They know what you like. You know, you. I'm sure you even know people who's like, you go somewhere, it's like, oh, you're not gonna like that. You know, say if it's food or something, they're like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna like that because you don't like stuff that's squishy, or you don't like stuff that's this. You know, like I know you're not gonna eat that okra. You know, it could be anything like that. But heed those warnings. They're God-given. Okay, I'll say it like that. You, particularly women, there is an innate thing in you that warns you. Don't go. Stop. Go that way. Turn around. Okay? So you need to, you're working on number 3. I know that's right. So the thing is, when it comes to the mess in your story, a way to not have more mess is don't do that again. Okay? Whatever that is for you, don't do that no more. Okay? Like, there's a book that says, eat this, don't eat that. Okay? So do this, don't do that. All right? I'm just saying, you know what that is. All right? And then my last point, number 10, write about it. Y'all know that was coming. Okay? Write about the mess. Okay? Charles Dickens has a book. It starts off, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Some of the best books starts with mess, okay? The Bible has mess. Like, I heard a sermon in which they were like, you know, there's Genesis 1:1. You know, it says the earth was, or in the first chapter, the earth was without form and void. But they were like, before that happened, there was a war in heaven. And it was a fight, and the devil got kicked out and thrown, all that. So all that happened before you even got to the first chapter. So for many of you, stuff happened before you even got here. Family stuff, all it was already going on, and then you arrived. So you came into a mess. Okay? You had no control. Like I told someone, you have no control over the womb you come through into this world. You just arrived. Ta-da! So the thing is, write about it. Write about it. Most of the great stories, people are writing about those stories. They write about the hardship. They write about, I mean, Oprah Winfrey, you know her story, you know, all kinds of people, you know their story, but look at where they are now. Even you know your story, and look at you. Look at where you are now. You're here. Write It Out Wednesday. And I definitely know my story. So, and it's still unfolding, still more chapters, more books to come. And so just very quickly, I was talking about just the 10 things to consider when your story is messy. Okay. So number 1, we all have mess in our lives. Number 2, sharing your truth can help release the shame and embarrassment that you've carried. Number 3, other people need to hear your story to know they're not alone. Number 4, allow others in so that you can see multiple sides of the story. Number 5, mess causes you to reach out for help. Okay? Being in messy situations, having a messy story is going to cause you to say help. Okay? Number 6, you become more self-aware, and thereby you learn how to make different decisions. Okay? When you become more self-aware, you realize, oh, I'm the one. I'm the loud one. I'm the one that's always causing a mess. I'm the one that's late all the time. Okay, I said that to somebody out there. Y'all needed to hear that. That was the Lord. Okay. Number 7, you become aware of your limitations. So whether good or bad, limitations as in this isn't an area that I need to focus my skills on because I'm not skilled here. Or I'm limiting myself by how I think, by how I act, or by what I say out of my mouth. Like, I literally had to tell someone, I don't really think I can hang out with you because you curse too much, you know? And that just doesn't work for my spirit now. It's just like, whoa, what is all that? Like, I just can't even hear it. It's like I can't do smoking. Like, I can't be around it because I don't smoke. So I immediately, like, who's smoking? Like, you know, it starts taking my breath away, you know? But that's me. That's a limitation for me. Like, I know that doesn't work for me, you know? And so that was number 7. Number 8, your hardships actually reveal your ability to persevere. Okay? So going through helps you to get through. You learn things about yourself that you don't learn when it's easy. You know, when you trying to get that last paper to get your degree, you realize how much sleep you really need. You know, you're like, a half an hour. You're trying to get that paper done, you know. And I think about all the books that I've read, the edits, like, oh my God, like, okay, so I got to go to bed, you know, but I want to read it. I got to get through it, you know. And number 9, you know, when your story is full of mess, learn not to do the thing that causes the mess, okay? Don't do that anymore. Like, if you know that it's going to lead to this, don't do it, okay? And then finally, write about the mess, okay? Everybody's story's got some messy parts in it. For some people, is a lot of messy parts. But that's life, okay? We're not going to escape it. You know, it's just like pain and suffering. We're not going to escape it. It's going to be a part of life. It just is. You know, kids come out screaming, ha ha ha! They're like, what is this? What is this light? You know, I was soft and cushioned. What's this? You know? So we all come into something we weren't expecting. You know, the mess can come from you, from others, from things you have no control, or like nothing you can, you know, like tornadoes and hurricanes. Like, you don't even know that stuff is coming. I remember some years back, tsunami, like it was just a cartoon until it was a real thing. Like, oh my God, you know, so things happen that you have no control over. But the thing is, you know, they're great stories out of great tragedies. So don't let mess keep you from writing. Don't let shame or embarrassment make you think that your story's not worth telling, you know, because the thing is, it's like we can get through that. Like, if we think differently, if we allow the limitations to be off when it comes to, you know, what this story means or the value even of it. Like, every story is worth something to somebody. So what's your story? You know, if you have a book inside of you, if you want to write your book, I'll put a link down below. You can make an appointment with me and let's talk about it. Let's see what you got. Let's talk about it. Let's see how I can support you in getting from idea to published in as little as 90 days. All right. So I'm Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. And I'll see you guys next week. All right. Bye.